lot of entrepreneurs who want sites in different places. But we also have to balance that with residents who may have a belief that if you open a cannabis location, that is going to create what the methadone clinics did in the past. And that this is a totally new industry, and we want to make sure it's done right. So we're going to coordinate with the control board, the cannabis control board on the state, and just sort of map out how to do this right. But we're going to put our money where our mouths are. And we allocated almost $5 million to giving people real information, help them with the licenses, make sure when those 200 cultivation licenses are fully rolled out, the retail license, 200 retail license, that we can make sure people have access. But we also got to make people whole. A lot of people forget that. We had a heavy-handed police policy on cannabis. And we can't just say, okay, let's just start from scratch. No, we need to look at credit reports, job training, those who are arrested, those who had their lives derailed. We need to put them back on track, and that must be built into the legacy aspect of it.
How long do you think that might be, and then how big do you foresee this becoming?
Oh, this industry is a huge industry. It is predicted in probably 4 years, $1.3 billion. That's a lot of money. But at the same time, other states have gotten it wrong. So we are really looking at what did they do wrong that we could get it right. When I speak to my friends in New Jersey and California, there are real issues. So we have an opportunity to get it right here in New York.
Mayor, there's an issue with the illicit market, and some of the companies that are here have spent millions of dollars creating their businesses in New York, and then you've got guys in a van 2 blocks away, you've got guys setting up illegal shops, on the sidewalk. How will New York deal with that?
And that's a great question, and you're right. What we must do, anytime you have a new industry, you have to really keep the laws in line with the movement of that industry. And I don't believe we have done that yet. And so it's crucial for us to look at all those loopholes, because you can't have a legal business operating on the side of a business that is operating outside the laws. That can't happen. And so we need to incentivize those who have their legal trucks or have their trucks going on to show them that this is a better pathway. And the goal is to not leave people behind. This is what we did with the number industry. The number industry was an illegal business. The government came in, did their own sort of number industry, and they left people behind that was part of that industry. So yes, we have to look closely at the trucks. We have to look closely at even some of the corner sales that's still going on, and make sure we incentivize people. Listen, there's a legal way to do it. We no longer have a number industry with a great impact because of what we did. We did it incorrectly, but we could do it right this time and make it more profitable to be legal in the process.
What's going to be the education campaign, in older black neighborhoods? Our older generation is not going to want to smell weed on the street. They're not going to want to see this in their neighborhood. What's the education campaign from the city going to look like?
Right, great question. And it is about, the same rules we have around smoking. They need to, at a minimum, be in place. Also, the same rules we have around alcohol consumption and operating vehicles, using heavy equipment. I don't want my doctor smoking the joint and then going to an operation. So we need those same rules in place about what we're doing with smoking and what we're doing about being impaired in any way. Because if you are smoking, it could impair your ability to carry out your normal actions. And so this is a learning phase for all of us. Many of us would hear marijuana and say no big deal. But to some of our older New Yorkers, they see it connected to any form of drug usage, and we have to be sensitive with that.
Your last question.
To follow up on the question of illicit sales, do you foresee there having to be any sort of enforcement against businesses that are selling illicitly? Like, the reason I'm asking, for instance, near my apartment, at a bodega, they're currently selling weed, even with like a little menu posted up by the counter, and it looks kind of legit, but it's certainly not, a legal operation.
Right.
Do you think there needs to be enforcement against businesses like that?
Yeah, and we don't. What happened was when we said legalizing marijuana, everyone does not read through the lines. Those of us who are in this bubble, we know that, okay, legalize doesn't mean you could just go open up your shop. And so there needs to be a system of not heavy-handedness, but going in and explaining to that store that, listen, you can't do this. Give them a warning, and if they refuse to adhere to the rules, then you have to come back and take some form of enforcement action, such as a summons, such as, talking about their ability to sell alcohol. But I hear people every day, when they talk about open up shop, I say, no, you can't, that's not how it's done. We must make sure that's why that $5 million is allocated, that people fully understand there's a process to be able to go into the business. A lot of people don't know that, and we need to make sure that they do know that.
Grass or oil?
Huh?
Sativa or indica?
Okay.